The morning sun cast long shadows across the military compound as Sergeant Elena Kozlov methodically cleaned her .338 Lapua Magnum rifle. Her calloused fingers moved with practiced precision, each motion deliberate and efficient. The weapon gleamed under the fluorescent lights of the armory, its barrel reflecting years of careful maintenance and deadly purpose. Elena had always been different from the other soldiers. While her male counterparts boasted loudly about their achievements, she remained quietly focused on her craft. Born in a small village outside Stalingrad, she learned to shoot rabbits with her grandfather's old hunting rifle when she was barely 10 years old. Her father, a veteran of the Afghan conflict, recognized her natural talent immediately. By 15, she could hit a playing card at 300 meters. The military recruited her straight from her village when she turned 18. Her drill sergeants initially dismissed her as just another farm girl trying to prove herself. That changed quickly during basic training, when she consistently outshot every recruit in her battalion. Her accuracy was not just impressive, it was almost supernatural. She seemed to understand wind patterns, atmospheric pressure, and target movement in ways that couldn't be taught from textbooks. During her first deployment to the conflict zone in Eastern Europe, Elena's reputation began to build. Her spotter, a veteran named Victor, initially resented being paired with what he called the village girl. That resentment vanished after their first mission together. Elena had taken an impossible shot through a narrow window at over 800 meters, eliminating a target that had been terrorizing civilians for weeks. Victor watched through his binoculars as the shot found its mark with surgical precision. Word of her abilities spread quickly through the ranks. Other snipers would seek her advice, but Elena rarely spoke about her techniques. She believed that talking too much about killing, even in military context, somehow diminished the gravity of taking a life. Each shot she took was calculated not just for accuracy, but for necessity. She never fired unless absolutely certain that her target posed an imminent threat to innocent lives or her fellow soldiers. As months passed, Elena's kill count began to climb. Unlike some snipers who kept detailed logs of their eliminations, she simply noted the date and grid coordinates in a small notebook. She never celebrated these deaths or boasted about them. To her, each mark represented a life taken in service of protecting others. The weight of that responsibility never left her shoulders, even as her superiors began to take notice of her exceptional record. Her fellow soldiers started calling her the Ghost because of her ability to remain undetected for hours, sometimes days, in hostile territory. Elena would position herself in seemingly impossible locations, waiting with infinite patience for the perfect moment. She understood that a sniper's greatest weapon was not the rifle, but the ability to remain absolutely still and focused while the world moved around them. The conflict intensified, and Elena found herself deployed to increasingly dangerous assignments. Her reputation preceded her, and enemy forces began actively hunting for the mysterious sniper who had eliminated several of their key commanders. Despite the growing danger, Elena continued her methodical approach to warfare. She studied her targets, learned their routines, and struck only when she could ensure maximum impact with minimal risk to civilian populations. During one particularly challenging mission, Elena spent 72 hours lying motionless in a bombed-out building, waiting for a high-value target to appear. When the moment finally came, her shot traveled over a kilometer through shifting winds and struck its target with lethal precision. The elimination of this particular enemy commander saved dozens of civilian lives and disrupted a planned attack on a refugee camp. As Elena continued cleaning her rifle that morning, she reflected on the path that had brought her to this point. The young farm girl who once shot rabbits for her family's dinner had evolved into one of the most effective snipers in the military. Yet despite her growing reputation, she remained humble and focused on the mission rather than personal glory. She understood that her skills came with tremendous responsibility, and she never took that burden lightly. The armory was quiet except for the soft clicking of her cleaning tools against metal. Elena preferred these moments of solitude, when she could maintain her equipment and prepare mentally for whatever challenges lay ahead. She had learned that success in her profession required not just physical skill, but mental discipline and emotional resilience. Every day brought new tests of her abilities and her resolve. The sound of heavy boots echoed through the corridor as General Marcus Volkov approached the armory. His morning inspection rounds were routine, but something about Sergeant Kozlov always caught his attention. Perhaps it was her unusual dedication to equipment maintenance, or the way other soldiers seemed to regard her with a mixture of respect and awe. As a career military officer with 30 years of experience, Volkov prided himself on recognizing exceptional talent when he saw it. Elena looked up briefly as the general entered, offering a crisp nod of acknowledgement before returning to her rifle maintenance. Her movements remained fluid and confident, each action serving a specific purpose in the cleaning process. Volkov observed her technique with professional interest, noting the care she took with every component of the weapon. Most soldiers treated equipment maintenance as a chore. For Elena, it appeared to be almost a ritual. The general had been hearing whispers about Kozlov for months. Stories filtered up through the chain of command about impossible shots and successful missions that seemed to defy conventional military wisdom. However, Volkov was naturally skeptical of such tales. In his experience, battlefield legends often grew far beyond the reality of actual events. Soldiers had a tendency to embellish stories, especially when they involved someone as enigmatic as the quiet sergeant from the village. Elena's service record showed consistent high-performance ratings and successful mission completions, but the numerical data failed to capture the full scope of her impact. Her unit commanders consistently requested her for high-priority assignments, and her presence on a mission seemed to correlate with significantly improved outcomes. Yet she never sought recognition or advancement, content to remain focused on her primary role as a precision marksman. During recent strategic planning meetings, several field commanders had specifically mentioned Kozlov's capabilities when discussing complex operations. One colonel described a mission where Elena's single shot had eliminated a target that artillery and air support had failed to neutralize. Another spoke of her ability to provide overwatch for extraction teams in seemingly impossible circumstances. These reports began to paint a picture of capabilities that went far beyond standard military expectations. Volkov approached Elena's workstation, genuinely curious about the weapon that had generated so much discussion among his officers. The 338 Lapua Magnum was a formidable rifle, capable of engaging targets at extreme distances with devastating effectiveness. In the right hands, it could be a decisive tactical asset. In Elena's hands, according to the reports he had been receiving, it had become something approaching a force of nature. Elena continued her methodical cleaning process, aware of the general's presence but not allowing it to disrupt her routine. She had learned early in her military career that consistency in preparation led to consistency in performance. Every component of her rifle received the same careful attention, from the bolt mechanism to the scope adjustments. Her ammunition was hand-selected and tested, her equipment calibrated to precise specifications. The general noticed several modifications to Elena's rifle that went beyond standard military specifications. These weren't unauthorized alterations, but rather carefully considered improvements that enhanced the weapon's performance characteristics. A custom trigger system, specialized scope mounts, and a modified stock all suggested someone who understood their equipment at a level far beyond basic military training. These modifications required not just technical knowledge, but also significant investment of personal time and resources. As Volkov observed Elena's work, he began to understand why her fellow soldiers regarded her with such respect. There was something almost meditative about her approach to equipment maintenance, a level of focus and dedication that spoke to deep professional commitment. She treated her rifle not as a tool, but as an extension of her own capabilities. This relationship between sniper and weapon was something that couldn't be taught in military academies. It developed only through years of experience and natural aptitude. Elena's reputation within the unit extended beyond her marksmanship abilities. Other soldiers often sought her advice on equipment maintenance, tactical positioning, and mission planning. Despite her relatively junior rank, she had become an informal leader among the specialized units. Her opinions carried weight in discussions about complex operations. and her presence on a mission roster was often seen as a guarantee of success. The general had reviewed mission reports that described Elena's ability to remain in position for extended periods, sometimes surviving on minimal supplies while maintaining perfect readiness. Her physical conditioning and mental discipline allowed her to endure circumstances that would break most soldiers. She seemed to possess an almost supernatural ability to remain focused and effective regardless of external conditions or pressures. Volkov found himself increasingly intrigued by the sergeant's obvious competence and dedication. In his decades of military service, he had encountered many skilled soldiers, but Elena represented something different. Her combination of natural talent, rigorous training, and absolute commitment to mission success was rare. He began to wonder if the stories he had been hearing might actually understate her true capabilities. Elena finished cleaning her rifle's barrel and began reassembling the weapon with the same methodical precision she had shown throughout the process. Each component clicked into place with satisfying certainty, the rifle gradually returning to its complete form. As she worked, Volkov noticed the subtle confidence in her movements, the way her hands seemed to know exactly where each piece belonged without conscious thought. General Volkov's curiosity finally overcame his professional reserve. He approached Elena's workstation more closely, genuinely interested in understanding the weapon system that had become so central to recent mission successes. The 338 Lapua Magnum represented the pinnacle of long-range precision firearms, but he wanted to understand how Elena had adapted it to her specific requirements. Elena glanced up as the general moved closer, her expression remaining professional, but showing slight surprise at his obvious interest. Most senior officers observed from a distance during inspections, rarely engaging directly with individual soldiers about their equipment. She paused in her reassembly process, ready to answer any questions the general might have about her rifle or maintenance procedures. Volkov examined the weapon with the practiced eye of someone who had spent decades around military equipment. The modifications he had noticed earlier became more apparent upon closer inspection. The custom trigger system had been adjusted to an incredibly light pull weight, requiring exceptional finger control to operate safely. The scope mounting system had been reinforced and modified to maintain zero calibration, even under extreme conditions. These weren't casual upgrades. They represented serious investment in performance enhancement. Elena began explaining her modifications, without being asked, her voice steady and confident as she described each enhancement. She spoke about barrel harmonics, ammunition selection, and atmospheric compensation with a level of technical knowledge that impressed even the experienced general. Her understanding went far beyond basic military training. She had clearly devoted significant personal time to mastering every aspect of precision shooting. The general found himself drawn into Elena's explanations, recognizing genuine expertise when he heard it. She described complex ballistic calculations with the casual ease of someone discussing simple arithmetic. Her knowledge encompassed not just the mechanical aspects of marksmanship, but also the environmental factors that could affect shot placement at extreme distances. Wind patterns, temperature variations, humidity levels, and even the rotation of the earth all factored into her shooting calculations. As Elena continued her technical explanations, Volkov began to understand why her mission success rate was so extraordinary. Her approach to marksmanship went far beyond point and shoot. It represented a comprehensive understanding of physics, meteorology, and human psychology. She studied her targets not just for tactical purposes, but to understand their behavioral patterns and predict their movements with uncanny accuracy. Elena described a recent mission where she had successfully engaged a target at over 1,200 meters in challenging wind conditions. The shot required her to account for multiple environmental factors while remaining concealed in hostile territory for nearly 18 hours. Her explanation of the shot sequence revealed not just exceptional marksmanship skills, but also remarkable patience and mental discipline. She had waited for the perfect moment when all variables aligned, then executed with surgical precision. The general's appreciation for Elena's abilities continued to grow as she shared insights about urban warfare and long-range engagement tactics. Her understanding of how different materials affected bullet trajectory, how to use natural and artificial camouflage effectively, and how to predict enemy movement patterns showed sophistication well beyond her official military education. She had clearly learned from experience and personal study, developing capabilities that couldn't be found in any training manual. Elena mentioned her practice routine, which involved daily dry-fire exercises and weekly live-fire training at various distances. She maintained detailed logs of every practice session, tracking performance under different conditions and continuously working to improve her already exceptional abilities. Her commitment to excellence was evident in every aspect of her preparation and performance. Volkov asked about her most challenging shots, and Elena responded with typical modesty. She described several missions where environmental conditions or tactical constraints had pushed her abilities to their limits. In each case, she had found ways to overcome obstacles through careful preparation and creative problem-solving. Her accounts revealed not just marksmanship excellence but also exceptional tactical intelligence and adaptability. The conversation revealed Elena's deep understanding of mission requirements beyond simple target elimination. She considered factors like collateral damage prevention, extraction routes, and long-term tactical implications before taking any shot. Her approach integrated seamlessly with broader mission objectives, making her an invaluable asset for complex operations requiring precision and discretion. Elena's description of her equipment selection process showed the same meticulous attention to detail that characterized all aspects of her professional performance. She tested different ammunition lots, evaluated various optical systems, and continuously refined her setup based on mission requirements and performance feedback. Every component of her system had been carefully chosen and extensively tested under field conditions. As the general listened to Elena's explanations, he began to realize that the stories he had been hearing about her capabilities might actually be conservative estimates rather than exaggerations. Her technical knowledge, combined with obvious dedication and natural talent, suggested capabilities that exceeded normal military expectations. She represented the kind of specialized asset that could influence the outcome of critical missions. The depth of Elena's expertise became even more apparent as she discussed advanced techniques for dealing with moving targets, low-light conditions, and extreme weather scenarios. Her solutions to complex tactical problems showed creative thinking and practical experience that couldn't be replicated through classroom instruction alone. She had clearly earned her reputation through consistent performance under the most demanding circumstances. General Volkov's growing fascination with Elena's technical expertise led him to ask more specific questions about her combat record. He had read mission reports, but hearing directly from Elena provided insights that official documentation couldn't capture. Her responses revealed not just exceptional marksmanship, but also remarkable tactical intelligence and situational awareness that set her apart from other specialized personnel. Elena described a mission where she had been tasked with providing overwatch for a rescue operation in hostile urban terrain. The tactical challenge involved multiple potential threat locations, civilian populations, and limited visibility due to smoke and debris. She had successfully identified and neutralized 3 separate threats, while ensuring no harm came to non-combatants or friendly forces. Her ability to make split-second decisions under extreme pressure had been crucial to mission success. The general found himself increasingly impressed by Elena's analytical approach to complex tactical situations. She didn't simply react to threats. She anticipated them based on careful observation and tactical understanding. Her descriptions revealed someone who could process multiple streams of information simultaneously while maintaining focus on primary objectives. This cognitive ability, combined with her marksmanship skills, made her exceptionally effective in chaotic combat environments. Elena mentioned another assignment where she had spent 5 days in hostile territory, gathering intelligence while remaining completely undetected. During this extended reconnaissance mission, she had provided critical information about enemy movements and capabilities that proved decisive in subsequent operations. Her ability to remain hidden while maintaining operational effectiveness demonstrated skills that went far beyond basic sniper training. As Elena continued sharing operational experiences, the general began to appreciate the full scope of her contributions to military effectiveness. Her missions weren't limited to simple target elimination. She had become a force multiplier, who enhanced the success probability of entire operations. Unit commanders specifically requested her participation because her presence on a mission roster significantly improved overall outcomes. Elena described the psychological aspects of long-range precision work, explaining how she maintained mental focus during extended periods of high stress. Her techniques for managing anxiety, maintaining concentration, and making accurate decisions under pressure revealed sophisticated understanding of human psychology and performance optimization. She had developed personal methods for staying effective when other soldiers might become overwhelmed by operational demands. The general learned that Elena's reputation extended beyond her own unit to other branches of the military. Special operations teams had requested her support for particularly challenging missions, and her participation had consistently resulted in successful outcomes. Her ability to integrate seamlessly with different tactical approaches and command structures made her a valuable asset for joint operations requiring specialized precision capabilities. Elena's discussion of equipment maintenance revealed another dimension of her exceptional performance. She didn't simply clean and inspect her rifle. She constantly monitored its performance characteristics and made subtle adjustments to maintain optimal accuracy. Her understanding of how environmental conditions affected equipment performance allowed her to compensate for variables that might compromise other shooters' effectiveness. The conversation revealed Elena's approach to continuous improvement through systematic analysis of her own performance. She maintained detailed records of every shot fired in combat, analyzing factors that contributed to success or created challenges. This self-evaluation process allowed her to identify areas for improvement and develop more effective techniques for future missions. Volkov asked about Elena's training methods, and her response revealed dedication that went far beyond military requirements. She spent personal time studying ballistics, meteorology, and advanced marksmanship techniques. Her commitment to professional development included correspondence with civilian precision shooting experts and constant experimentation with new techniques and equipment modifications. Elena's explanation of her spotting and communication procedures showed sophisticated understanding of teamwork in combat situations. She had developed effective methods for coordinating with forward observers, air support, and ground units, while maintaining her primary precision shooting responsibilities. Her ability to multitask while maintaining accuracy under pressure demonstrated exceptional cognitive abilities. The general began to understand why Elena's fellow soldiers regarded her with such respect. Her professional competence extended beyond individual performance to include mentoring and advising other personnel. Despite her relatively junior rank, she had become an informal expert that others consulted for guidance on complex tactical problems. Elena described her approach to mission planning, which involved extensive preparation and contingency development. She studied target areas using satellite imagery, weather data, and intelligence reports to develop comprehensive understanding of operational environments. Her preparation included identifying multiple firing positions, escape routes, and alternative approaches for various scenarios that might develop during missions. As the general listened to Elena's detailed explanations, he realized that her capabilities represented something truly exceptional. Her combination of natural talent, rigorous training, and absolute dedication had produced results that exceeded normal military expectations. She had evolved from a village girl with natural shooting ability into a precision warfare specialist, whose impact on operations was measurable and significant. The depth of Elena's expertise became even more apparent as she discussed advanced tactical concepts with casual familiarity. Her understanding of integrated warfare, joint operations, and strategic objectives showed thinking that operated on multiple levels simultaneously. She considered not just immediate tactical requirements, but also broader implications of her actions on mission success and long-term operational objectives. The conversation had reached a natural pause when General Volkov decided to ask the question that had been building in his mind throughout their discussion. Elena's obvious expertise and the consistent reports from field commanders suggested capabilities that went beyond typical military performance metrics. He wanted to understand the full scope of her contributions to operational success. Elena hesitated momentarily when the general asked about her confirmed elimination count. This wasn't information she typically discussed, even with senior officers. Her approach to combat had always focused on mission objectives rather than personal statistics. However, recognizing the general's genuine professional interest and authority, she retrieved a small notebook from her equipment case. The notebook was unremarkable in appearance, just a standard military field journal with weather-resistant covers. Elena opened it carefully, revealing pages filled with precise handwriting documenting dates, grid coordinates, weather conditions, and brief tactical notes. Each entry represented a confirmed elimination, recorded with the same methodical attention to detail that characterized all aspects of her professional performance. General Volkov expected to see perhaps 20 or 30 entries, which would represent exceptional performance for a sniper of Elena's experience level. As Elena turned through the pages, however, he began to realize that his expectations had been conservative. The entries continued page after page, each one representing a successful engagement under operational conditions. Elena explained her record-keeping system as she showed the general selected entries. Each notation included environmental data, range information, and tactical context that had influenced the engagement. Her documentation revealed not just the quantity of successful missions but also the variety of challenging conditions under which she had maintained effectiveness. Desert operations, urban warfare, mountain terrain, and maritime environments were all represented in her records. The general found himself counting entries as Elena turned pages, his surprise growing with each additional notation. What had begun as professional curiosity was evolving into genuine amazement at the scope of Elena's operational record. The numbers suggested capabilities that exceeded not just normal expectations, but also the performance of legendary snipers whose exploits had become part of military folklore. Elena continued explaining her documentation system, noting how she tracked patterns in her own performance and identified factors that contributed to mission success. Her analytical approach to combat effectiveness revealed sophisticated understanding of personal performance optimization. She used her records not for boasting, but for continuous improvement and tactical development. As the page count continued to climb, General Volkov realized he was looking at documentation of one of the most successful combat records in modern military history. Elena's confirmed elimination count exceeded anything he had encountered in 3 decades of military service. The methodical documentation and supporting tactical notes left no doubt about the accuracy of her records. Elena mentioned that her notebook only included confirmed eliminations, where she could verify target neutralization through direct observation, or reliable intelligence reports. Her standards for confirmation were more rigorous than typical military protocols, meaning her actual impact on enemy capabilities was likely even greater than her documented record suggested. She preferred to underestimate rather than exaggerate her contributions to operational success. The general's amazement continued to grow as Elena provided context for some of her most challenging shots. Single eliminations that had prevented attacks on civilian targets, removed key enemy leadership, or disrupted major operations appeared repeatedly throughout her records. Each entry represented not just individual marksmanship success, but also broader tactical impact that influenced entire mission outcomes. Elena's explanations revealed the psychological and emotional challenges of maintaining such an intensive, operational tempo. She described techniques for managing stress, processing the reality of taking human lives, and maintaining mental health despite constant exposure to combat situations. Her approach integrated professional duty with personal ethics in ways that allowed her to remain effective without losing her humanity. The notebook contained additional sections documenting equipment performance, environmental conditions, and tactical lessons learned from each engagement. Elena had created a comprehensive database of practical knowledge that could benefit other precision marksmen and tactical planners. Her records represented not just personal achievement, but also valuable institutional knowledge for military effectiveness. General Volkov asked about specific high-value eliminations mentioned in intelligence reports, and Elena confirmed several. operations that had been classified at levels above his clearance. Her matter-of-fact descriptions of these missions revealed impacts on enemy capabilities and strategic objectives that were significant even by special operations standards. She had consistently been assigned the most critical and challenging targets. As Elena continued sharing details from her operational record, the general began to understand why unit commanders fought to have her assigned to their operations. Her track record suggested someone who could be relied upon to achieve objectives under any circumstances. Her presence on a mission roster provided commanders with tactical options that wouldn't otherwise be available. Elena's discussion of her most recent operations revealed continuing evolution in her capabilities and tactical understanding. Rather than becoming complacent with success, she had continued pushing her abilities to new levels. Her most challenging shots and complex missions had occurred recently, suggesting someone at the peak of their professional development rather than resting on past achievements. The conversation revealed Elena's understanding that her exceptional record came with additional responsibilities and expectations. She had become a strategic asset whose capabilities influenced operational planning at high levels. Her availability for missions was a factor in strategic decision-making, and her recommendations carried significant weight in tactical planning discussions. General Volkov closed Elena's notebook with hands that had begun to tremble slightly. The documented record contained over 240 confirmed eliminations, each entry representing successful completion of missions that other snipers might consider impossible. The numerical reality of Elena's operational achievements exceeded anything in his extensive military experience, surpassing legendary figures whose exploits were taught in military academies worldwide. The general's face had drained of color as he processed the implications of what he had just witnessed. Elena's record didn't just represent exceptional individual performance, it documented contributions to military effectiveness that influenced entire operational theaters. Her eliminations had prevented terrorist attacks, disrupted enemy command structures, and saved countless civilian and military lives through precise application of lethal force. Elena observed the general's reaction with quiet concern, recognizing that her documented achievements had created an impact she hadn't intended. She had never sought recognition for her operational record, preferring to focus on mission requirements rather than personal statistics. Her approach to combat had always emphasized duty and effectiveness over glory or advancement, but she understood that her numbers told a story that couldn't be ignored. The general sat heavily in a nearby chair, his mind struggling to process the reality of Elena's documented achievements. In his 3 decades of military service, he had encountered exceptional soldiers, decorated heroes, and legendary figures whose exploits had shaped military history. However, Elena's record suggested capabilities that transcended normal human limitations, placing her in a category that existed beyond conventional military classifications. Elena's quiet demeanor and modest approach to discussing her achievements made the reality of her record even more striking. She spoke about eliminating high-value targets and disrupting enemy operations with the same casual tone others might use to discuss routine training exercises. Her psychological ability to process such intensive combat experience while maintaining normal human relationships and emotional stability was as remarkable as her marksmanship skills. The general began to understand why Elena's presence on mission rosters was treated as a guarantee of success by field commanders. Her documented performance suggested someone who could be assigned virtually any precision shooting requirement with confidence that objectives would be achieved. Unit commanders who had worked with her consistently requested her participation. In their most critical operations, Elena's record revealed consistent performance across diverse operational environments and tactical situations. Desert warfare, urban combat, mountain operations, and maritime missions were all documented with successful outcomes. Her adaptability to changing conditions and different tactical requirements demonstrated versatility that complemented her exceptional marksmanship abilities. She had proven effective regardless of environmental challenges or mission complexity. The general's understanding of Elena's strategic value continued to evolve as he considered the broader implications of her documented achievements. Her eliminations had consistently targeted enemy leadership, disrupted operational planning, and prevented attacks on civilian populations. Each entry in her notebook represented not just individual success but also broader tactical impact that influenced entire mission outcomes and strategic objectives. Elena's approach to maintaining such an intensive operational tempo, while preserving mental health and emotional stability, impressed the general almost as much as her marksmanship record. She had developed personal methods for processing the psychological impact of frequent combat engagement while maintaining effectiveness and professional relationships. Her ability to remain human despite extraordinary circumstances demonstrated strength of character that matched her tactical abilities. The general realized that Elena's exceptional record placed her in a category that required different considerations for assignment and career development. Her capabilities represented a strategic asset that needed to be protected and utilized appropriately. Standard military personnel management approaches wouldn't adequately address the unique requirements and opportunities presented by someone of her exceptional abilities. Elena's documented achievements also raised questions about recognition and career advancement that the general knew would need to be addressed at levels above his authority. Her contributions to military effectiveness deserved acknowledgement, but her preference for operating without publicity complicated traditional approaches to military honors and promotions. She had achieved more than most generals while maintaining the rank of sergeant. The conversation had revealed capabilities that would influence how the general thought about personnel utilization and operational planning. Elena's presence in his command provided tactical options that wouldn't otherwise be available. Her documented record suggested someone who could be assigned the most critical and challenging missions with confidence that objectives would be achieved regardless of circumstances. As General Volkov prepared to leave the armory, he realized that his routine inspection had uncovered one of the most exceptional soldiers in modern military history. Elena's combination of natural talent, rigorous training, and absolute dedication had produced results that exceeded normal human limitations. Her documented achievements represented a standard of excellence that would influence military thinking about precision warfare capabilities. Elena returned to her equipment maintenance routine as the general departed, her demeanor unchanged despite the impact her revelations had created. She understood that her exceptional record would likely lead to changes in her assignments and responsibilities, but her focus remained on professional excellence and mission success. Her commitment to serving effectively, regardless of recognition or advancement, had been the foundation of her remarkable achievements. The general walked away from the armory with a profound appreciation for the exceptional soldier under his command. Elena's documented record had transformed his understanding of what was possible in precision warfare, while her personal character had impressed him equally. She represented the ideal combination of capability and dedication that defined the finest military personnel, elevated to a level that transcended normal expectations and entered the realm of military legend.